Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for playing the video. This is the 10th video we have talking about the narrative inquiry. Sometimes if we are knowing about the word of narrative, we think that it is about story, it is about descriptive and etc. But how it's actually linked to the qualitative research in language education. Let's check it out. But before that, we have to recite Umul Kitab. Please pray begin. Okay, for this video, I only have the 8 slides, smaller numbers compared to the previous videos. Now we would like to go to the business about the aim. The aims of the narrative inquiry is understanding the meaning individuals ascribe to their life experiences by examining stories, conversation, and other personal narratives. Here, we have to move to the goals. There are 4 goals of narrative inquiry. The first one is meaning making, understanding lived experiences, contextualizing experience. The last is relational engagement. How about the meaning making here? It goes to the primary goal, that is how to understand people, create meaning and make sense of their lives and experiences through the stories they tell. About the second one, that is the understanding lived experiences, dealing it focusing on capturing the rich, subjective realities of individuals or small groups, often giving voice to those whose perspective are not typically heard. It seems like to go the minority voice here. Okay. How about the contextualizing experience? Now we have that the narrative inquiry recognizes that experiences are shaped by social, cultural, and historical factors and aims to understand these influences on an individual story. The last one, that is the goal of the relational engagement. That the methodology of this study emphasizes a close, collaborative relationship between the researcher and participants, recognizing that the research process is inherently relational and ethical. Those are the 4 goals of narrative inquiry. Now we have to move to the works of narrative inquiry. The first is about the data collection, followed by in-depth analysis, focus on story experience, and the last is ethical consideration. How about the first work, that is the data collection? As the researchers gather stories through interviews, personal diaries, letters, and other forms of personal account. The next one, talking about the in-depth analysis, the gathered narratives are analyzed to identify themes, patterns, and core messages that reveal how individuals understand their experiences. Moving to the third work, that is focused on story experience. Here that the method centers on the idea that experience is a narrative phenomenon, transforming individual stories into analyzable data. We move on to the last work, that is about the ethical considerations. Talking about this one, here the process involves a strong commitment to ethical practices and building trust with participants to ensure the accurate representation of their authentic experiences. We have done with the works of narrative inquiry. We go to the real example of the research. written in the Journal of Syllabus, that is Journal of Language Studies, entitled A Narrative Inquiry of Students' Self-Directed Learning in EFL Speaking Class through YouTube, done by Noor and Butar 2022. In the volume 2, number 2, on page 193 to 206. Now we go to the abstract. You made it for a while. It's very clear to check in your own screen by having the keywords here. 5 ones. The first is narrative, inquiry, self-directed learning, speaking, and YouTube as the media. Now we go to the method that the participants provide, followed by the data analysis, trustworthiness, or validity. So we have to finish the abstract first then before moving on to the detail of the method. That this study aims to reveal students' perception through narrative inquiry while learning English through YouTube. Previous studies insisted that learners have made several attempts to foster their English language, both via teacher-guided and self-directed study. In recognition of the advantages of speaking as a foreign language, exploring learners' accounts of their self-directed learning in EFL speaking class using YouTube is the focus of the present research. Online interviews were conducted with 4 students as the research participant. In this line, the research presented 3 narratives: behavior-oriented, instructional, and evaluation, to describe students' motivations for completing. Aside from the primary important elements influencing students' SDL, what's that? Self-direction learning with respect to their perspective. The study is aware of several limitations, including the sample size and research design. Here, the researchers urge more research on classroom participation studies in light of this. That they anticipated the study will contribute to the conversation on developing SDL curricula. After knowing about the abstract, the glance with the keyword, we move to the first item in the method, that is about the participant profiles. Here, I would like to focus in order to achieve the necessary real narration while recounting the stories. 4 female students from the English language education program were chosen for the research. They were between the ages of 20 and 22, since participant studies are emphasized in narrative inquiry. From Sakui 2002. How about the condition that the first individuals receive notification through the WhatsApp application that they have been selected to take part in a narrative inquiry for the research project? I think here that the reference coming from some months 2014. Here, the author of this reference, okay, did the same one. Therefore, it is used in this kind of research article writing. And then how about the data analysis? Here, the 2 researchers used narrative inquiries by Berguzin, Benson, and Chick 2013 and supported with the Bogdan and Bacon, Corbin and Strauss, Mills and Huberman, Richard and Silverman. And then the idea of SDL itself coming from the knowledge and pattern. The trustworthiness and validity used Liu and Sus, okay, talking about trust and rapport. And also the previous reference, okay, by using the students' narrative tales here. Okay, thank you. That's all for the video entitled Narrative Inquiry. Hopefully, it will be a kind of provision for you to do the detailed reading about this research in the form of the article. Thank you. See you in the next video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.